Give it to me tomorrow, man. I don't need to get it in the next one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you can just keep it, Johnny, and just go make a copy. I'll end up losing the damn thing.
Thank you, Diane.
Aw, nice to see you.
Okay, welcome everybody. We are back in executive session, regular session, I'm sorry. It's been a while since I ran the meeting here, so. With that, we took some action in executive session. The Legendary Waters cash flow budget was approved at the amount of $750. The compliance report and gaming commission reports were approved. The applicant, there's a motion to deny and repost. And then we went to item number 11, which is the treasurer's financial status report for June of 2025. That was approved. And then item number 14, which was seeking council's consent for a potential lease sought by Vincent and Mandy Lafreniere. Council did approve or consent for that. Item number 16, a new business permit application, and PAC was presented and approved for Charles Defoe. And then number 18, a tribal council liaison for the ECC Policy Council, and Shania Nordby was approved for that job. And with that, we're gonna go right back to item number 9, which is community comments and concerns.
Come on up. Comments? Yo.
Was there a resolution number for the Vincent Mandy?
We do, Kurt? He did just on the right-hand side. Hit
Right,
that button.
the right one.
You'll s- Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so. So I was in discussion with somebody I knew, and we were talking and discussing things about why we vote for rollies and stuff, you know. Like, I feel like it's ambiguous to people when they see that, like, are they native, are they not native? You know, whether it just, like, could Donald Trump tomorrow get on the list, you know? So we're talking about that and whatnot.
At the elections,
Yeah, elections.
the adoptions into
And so,
the tribe, okay.
yeah, and so that led to a whole bunch of stuff we were talking about, and I was like, oh, well, and so it's questions first, they work for the tribe or whatever, and they were like, oh, go down to the tribal council to get your questions answered, so, here I am, get questions answered.
We'll answer them as best we can, huh?
Yeah, so, kind of what I was looking up with the Cherokee Nation, they had, like a FOIA request law that they put in place in their constitution so people could request public information. You know, so I went through our constitution, I didn't find anything in there that had anything to do with that, like for us to request information, so.
You talking like a FOIA request?
Yep.
Okay.
And so all these questions that would be asked in tribal council today are going to be questions someone could say in Bayfield County or in the city of Bayfield could ask their council or
Yeah, I'll let Dave answer the FOIA request.
Yeah.
Because we do have that.
it's not present in the tribe's constitution, but the tribe's constitution gives the council the authority to manage this stuff. And pursuant to that authority, the council has passed a policy, and that's present on the help desk. There is a request for information policy on the tribe's website, and so if you have questions about things like you're talking about, that can be subject to a request by you, just like you do at the state, just like you do at the county.
Okay, yeah. And so I just wanted to ask these questions here to see, and I know people, some of these people, or people in the council were not probably in the council at the time when some of the stuff has happened, but, so I'm not expecting answers, okay? I'm just expecting to get, yes, we can give you an answer, no, we can't give you an answer, and what really important to me is why I can't have an answer. Is what I'm really, so, some of the questions. In growing up around here, as a kid, I come from a family of 10, and we were pretty poor, you know, and around here we have 3 different types of people: have-nots, and non-natives. And my dad, he was kind of a radical, if anybody knew him, my father. And I just remember him telling me, oh, I'm trying to call, and in no way I'm saying that you guys are okay, you guys are corrupt, not that. But at the time he said he tried to call us corrupt, I was like 6 years old. And people were like, man, my dad is crazy. Well, a few years later, it came out that there was a huge embezzlement scheme happening in Red Cliff, and he wasn't so crazy. And so some of these questions will be directed at that, but like the federal U.S. budget, I can look up and see our budget, what they spent money on. So I'm here asking, is there a way for tribal members to view the 2024 tribal budget?
That actually every year we're audited. Yeah, and that audit is public information. That's readily available for any tribal member to look at. In regard to the budget, I'll let Laura. She's our treasurer.
Every year, the budgets have to come in front of council for approval, whether it be our general fund budget, our indirect cost budget, our water and sewer budget, our legendary water budget, compliance. All the budgets come in front of council for approval.
Yeah, and the only reason I asked is, some people may know me, may not, but I believe in fairness, transparency, and accountability. And if people are able to view this stuff and see it, I mean, regulars online have caught criminals in criminal cases, people looking at stuff in the tests. And you can see online the U.S. budget, what they got, where they spent it. I mean, because they're complicated by the taxpayers to do it. So I'm curious to know, where do we view that? Yeah. Do we view that somewhere?
Yeah, all the budgets are approved in open session, so anybody who is at that meeting is able to see them. And review, and review.
But, and that's fine. I'm just asking, is there somewhere online you can view this stuff?
Now, some things, we don't really want to be public. And it's not to hide anything, it's a...
Would someone like Curtis be able to go down to admin and review the budget?
And I could take it, and I could share it?
No.
They can make a FOIA request.
And I could.
Yeah.
I'd get it.
Yeah, it's not like a business first.
I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot.
No, not at all.
I'm just
And
looking at our government and seeing how it is, and okay, so, let's back up a minute here. Native people, okay, are very blank of the government. We're really mistrusting in the government, like the U.S. government, they took our lands and, you know, whatever. And so, and in our past, of what happened in the past, I can see why people are very mistrusting in our government as well. And so I just, you know, I was talking to that person, they were talking back and forth, and I was like, well, you know, I hope they're really transparent. I mean, so we're not trying to hide nothing. And that's just my point. I want to be able to do this stuff and look at this stuff. And,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, one of the things that I think will help you more than looking at the budget is looking at the audits. Because the auditors, it's a third party, independent auditor that comes in and audits all of our budgets and operations and, you know, how they're spent and make sure we're in compliance. And funding agencies also do that.
and I'm sure they do a good job, you know, and I'll drop it after this one. I mean, I'm sorry, you know, hard.
No reason to apologize, man.
You know, I want to view and stuff, you know, and he said, go ahead and sure that's fine.
And Curtis, I just want to say something too. When I present my FSR report, I do put out there a report for the tribal membership. But I just ask to please do not go out and share it with everybody, because it tells you, like all the fund balances that are in like all the divisions and stuff like that, you know. But it's something that, you know, it's just for our membership. It's not for construction people, and it's not for all the other people. You know,
Right.
this is just a report for the membership.
Right, I'm not saying I want to share it with, you know, outside people, I'm just saying I want to share it with, okay, so like North Korea, for instance, right? They put out their own media, they put out everything, and it's made and set up for people in their country to view in that way, you know? And so I kind of want to be like not happy, but an investigative journalist myself, to be an unbiased party, to be able to look at these things and be able to share it with people. Our people, not other people. And that's what I'm here.
If it's just for our membership, you know.
Right, but nowadays we have technology where we don't, you know, use newspapers and stuff. We share our stuff on social media, you know, to our people. So
And all of our non-members are looking at that also.
I'll take this if that makes sense. Okay, so what else I would request was, back in the 90s when all that stealing was going on, I just kind of would like to know who did it, how much they took, what trouble they got in, and how much they're paying back, if they're paying back. Because, and I'll share this with the council, you know, sometimes I go a little while and I forget about my water bill. And recently it got up to $750. I told my wife, I said, hey, you go pay that. She went and paid it, but we got statements, I mean, they were coming there telling us, and like, we'll take care of it, no problem. So I went and paid it. Is right for actively seeking compensation for that stuff when it happened?
You know, I'm going to be honest, I was gone during that time, and maybe Dave can step in.
Those cases have long been concluded. Any consequences that flow from those prosecutions on the civil side, et cetera, are long up. They're long down. There will be no further activity, et cetera. Again, I'd encourage, if you have a request for information, that you fill out the appropriate form, send it on, and take a look at it and get back to you.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, if I went and stole from somebody, you could go on CPAC right now and get that information. And that's the point. You get this information, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, yeah, would you give me this information?
with regard to the federal prosecutions, that information is available through the federal courts. And again, you could make a request through the federal courts and get information on the two folks that were prosecuted and convicted. As to the other folks, they were not prosecuted and convicted, so there's nothing to get.
Right, I have that information, so. What do you mean there's nothing to get? Like,
She could get some information on folks that weren't charged, and for whatever reason you might want, I encourage you to make a FOIA request. A request for information that explains what it is you want, why it is you want it, and the document.
And the reason I ask these questions, guys, is you guys live here, and you hear rumors all the time about stuff, right? And rumors are based on somewhat of the truth, right? And so we don't really know. It could be, it could not be. You know,
I've been on, when I bought my truck, I bought a second-hand truck to haul my garbage, and the next day on Facebook, I was investing money from the gas station, which is not true at all.
right, but, you know, with, from what I've heard from tribal employees, they can't share any information. So, you know, I guess this is the first time I'm learning, I guess you can request stuff from tribal, and, you know, like I said, with big economy or whatever, you can get that information freely online. Okay, we'll deal with that later. Also, I'm part of the fire department.
Curtis, when you're getting into it, it goes off after a while.
So I'm also part of the fire department, and I know, Rapid Tribal Council came in, and there was, our chief got booted out, and we really didn't know why. I heard rumors why. I was just wondering.
Again, those are personnel issues. And personnel issues we don't disclose. They're actually confidential by law.
Okay, so.
Excuse me, respectfully, I want to ask, who was the, can you say who the fire chief was?
What's that?
Who was the individual, who was the fire?
Oh, Jeff Hood. He was our fire chief.
Jeff Hood?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And so, I mean, if it may be, the rumors were not true. I mean, but like I'm saying with personnel, I understand that, and I don't want to be asking for personnel information. But if the Bateville County Fire Chief was stealing, we would know that. You know, so, I mean, that's why I asked. Okay, we'll move on. Would I be able to request about First American Prevention Center, why that, you know, stop working? I heard rumors, and that's why I asked the question about it.
Yeah, that was closed down before I got on here, but, is there, yeah,
I just sort of mismanaged the funds there, so that's why I asked.
I think the building was,
yeah, but, yeah, you know, and I'm not trying to, discourage you from continuing on, but, I mean, a lot of these questions, I think if you wrote them down, Curtis, and, presented them, stop up at the office, and present them to us, like Dave said with the FOIA request. Yeah, just because, honestly, the First Prevention Center was shut down before I came back, and I honestly just don't have that answer.
Sure.
But other people might.
Yeah, and I don't expect you guys to know all the answers. I don't expect you guys to have any answers, really, to be honest. I'm just asking. And
Ask if they know what happened to all that radio equipment.
the radio equipment?
We had a radio station, and I don't know what we're doing that one too. That was something good. When we had the, radio station.
Yeah, I only, that building was all shut down. I mean, I walked in there once and it was just full of mold and junk
and I have other questions, and I'll save a lot of them for that. But there's still a few I do want to ask about. So, I talked to other people from the tribe, other tribal members, and you know, we talked about this, and I asked them how many payments we paid back to Shakopee, or what that loan structure was of the loan to go back then. You know, what was the interest rate, what it is now. How does the tribal member get a look at that, you know?
Yeah, that, you know, when I was chair, and I think we're gonna start doing it again, if you guys remember, we had, like an executive session for the community, where we would, that way we'd go over all the casino financials.
Okay.
Yeah, and we are gonna do that again.
Give people the freely look at
Yep,
it.
yeah, everybody, yeah.
That's awesome. I love transparency.
Yeah, and again, that's the reason why we do it in the executive session, open to the tribal membership only, not just the community, because, you know, our casino was competitive with other casinos, and some of that information we don't want getting out there, but the question that you're asking, you know, about the loan and stuff like that, that would be something we would discuss
Right.
in that executive session.
Okay. And you know, growing up around here, I knew these two old ladies, and they really didn't like each other. They were like 60 years old. They're dead now. I asked one of them, hey, why don't you like so-and-so? And they didn't know. They just, natives hold a grudge, okay? And Dave said, all that stuff's long gone about the check, you know, advance thing. Our people remember, and they do want to know this stuff. And I don't want to be, you know, not trying to be hard to deal with here, but I think our people would like to know this stuff. And that's why I'm here asking these questions. And back then, I was young, 18. Not a lot of people listen to 18-year-old men, you know. Now I'm older, and I do want to be involved in tribal council in the future, you know. And so I'm here.
I hope you do, man.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to retire soon. We need some.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, we need some younger people on this tribal council.
And then, you know, okay, so moving on to the next thing here. You know, I knew somebody that was part of tribal council a while ago, and they were talking about the water and sewer and the USDA loan that we took out. From what I heard was really terrible. It was a terrible loan that we took out. And just like the casino budget, how do we look at that whole structure and stuff?
The water and sewer.
The USDA.
Yeah, that was, again, that happened before I came here, but I am very well aware of that because we're still paying on that.
Right,
yeah, so, you know, that comes out also in the, you know, in the budget. And also, there's a utilities commission, and they have public meetings, and that's, you know, information that they would have.
Okay. All right.
This is kind of cool. Did you know that this gentleman scuba dives? And he went down.
I seen him swimming around with a duck that
He's seen
day.
the pipe. He's seen the pipe out in the water.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was put
yeah, I
in
got a
the-
video of it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that was, I wanted to interview him. I asked him.
Something a little unrelated is, like, see, I'm not really well informed. I came to one of these, my first meeting ever in my entire life.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, like the Bad River land on Madeline Island, I heard that was given to a Ojibwe tribe, which was, both of ours, and then they split us up, so the Bad River has it now.
It was actually given to the LaPointe band, and that back then, the LaPointe band was both Redcliffe and Bad River.
Right.
And that's something that's been asked a lot, and, you know, I don't know, Curtis, how much effort is being put into it, but it's something that, you know, is still being looked at. You know, one of the things since I've been involved in this council is, the documentation is already hundreds of years old now. And trying to follow that documentation, I know was a big deal.
Right, and the way people wrote stuff down.
Yes,
It's not the same.
exactly, yeah. But, you know, I'm on board with you, man.
I'd like to speak a little bit on that. So what I've heard and what I understand, my grandfather, he talked about, I had asked him, like, why is that land under Bad River and not us both anymore? And he said that, the DIA office used to be in Bayfield, and then it transferred over to Ashland County. And so when that deal had went through with the BIA office being in Ashland County, Bad River was also in Ashland County. And so that's why that tract of land had been assigned to Bad River versus us. And then I also heard from Bad River elders is that we lost that tract in a game of lacrosse. So that'd be some interesting research.
Like, see what the score was.
Rumors, I tell you. Tribal rumors. Well, that's cool. No, it's, yeah, so, and then something else that I heard rumors of in the past, that, we're sitting on Gold Mine out here, the marina, the casino. Madeline Island Yacht Club just does crazy amounts of business. They rake it in, okay? And we have a marina right here. Our water, from diving in here, our water is way warmer than this section than anywhere else, and it doesn't get hardly any waves. It's protected. It's a prime spot. And this leads to my question was, I heard we had a $2 million something to revamp the marina, and I was wondering, did we? Where did we go if we did get it? Did we see it down there?
Yeah, if we had $2 million to, laying around here, I'd be the first one down there doing that marina. I've been harping on that for since I came back. That marina is, a diamond in the rough, but, it's gotta be upgraded. I remember when they built that, and so I'm sure there's a few people sitting in this room who remember when they built that. Arnie Nelson and his dad built that. And I remember jumping off the dock before it was done, and they were yelling at us and screaming about it. But, that dock it was built in the 70s, kind of giving my age away here. But they, it needs some serious upgrades, and some of the upgrades that we're working on, we just had it all dredged out this spring. We had that out. We're working on fixing the finger piers. We are working on now everything, boaters, campers, Wi-Fi is just a normal thing, that everybody expects and should have. So we're upgrading the Wi-Fi, we're doing a lot of that stuff. But again, it takes money, and we're doing what we can down there, because I totally agree. There should be no reason at all that marina shouldn't be just as good, if not better, than any of these other marinas around here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Rick, when you said we're working on it, who are you referring to? Is it tribal that's working on it? When you say we're working on it, who are you referring to? Is it the casino?
The casino manages it.
Okay.
Yeah, they manage both the campground and marina.
So their employees are the ones that will be working on it?
Their employees do basic maintenance on it. Some of the stuff that needs to be done requires contract work to be done. And, just like we contracted with Arnie Nelson to come in and do the dredging, and he also did some work on some of the piers where we was at. So, they have a staff down there, that can do basic maintenance, but, some of the stuff we really have to bring, professionals in. That, there's a reason, another reason for that is, you want a warranty on your work.
Yeah.
So, But it is a work in progress, Curtis. I'm 100% on board, and that thing should be full every year.
I know that stuff takes time.
Yep. Yep. Well, one of the big things is that a lot is we don't sell fuel down
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
there. That's the big thing, and that's one of the major priorities we're looking at, how best to do that. How best to get fuel in
Yeah, see what you think.
Where does all the money that's coming into the campground and the marina, what kind of money does that go into?
It goes into it goes in that goes into the casino revenue.
That goes back into the casino?
Yeah, the casino manages it.
They manage it?
Yes.
So what does that mean for the tribe?
I'll be blunt, it does nothing for us.
Well, there's a lot of money that we pull in down there.
And it goes to.
And you're saying something about the marina, you need money to fix that up. Why can't that money go back into the marina to expand it and do what we need to do with that?
Well, they also have bills to pay.
Well, there's a lot of money there.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah. Curtis, talked about the loan earlier, and that's honestly one of the big, thing that's hanging over the head. That casino, I'll say it because everybody knows it, that casino would be profitable if it wasn't for that loan.
It'd be nice to share that with our people. And, I'm not saying you guys don't, I'm just saying it would be nice for more people to know that, so we know what position we're in, you know what I mean? Because, like the U.S. federal budget, we can see our deficit, we can see what we're doing. The only thing you can't see on their list is, like Black Ops or, stuff like that. Everything else is on it, residential travel, everything. And that's why I ask these questions. I'm not trying to be hard to deal with. Natives just aren't very trusting, and I hear things from people. And if you get the people on board, things will run smoother for sure.
Well, can I say something there? I think it's an obligation to tribal leadership to be transparent to their membership, as we are relying on you to follow through with those tasks. And so I think what would be really nice is a plan of action on how membership can see this moving forward in the future. And I also think that there should be something given to the public, because this is being expressed time and again, on what that action will be. Because we've heard stories and stories and stories, but we do deserve answers on what tribal leadership plans to do to move forward with whatever it is and how they're going to do it. And then also making sure that your people are in agreement with that process. I think that's really important, that we know, that we come here with our concerns and that they're acted upon, that they're not just heard, that there is an action plan put in place for us to understand what the next step will be for you guys to work on that. That's all I want to say.
I don't disagree with that.
I agree. Tribal council is here because of the people, for the people, So, and that's just why they govern. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I came here, was pretty much for that. And I'm just trying to be fair to everybody, because I know there's a lot of stuff on this list I have. And, a lot of them I'm going to bring up myself as very employer requests, but I just want to be fair with everybody here, because over the years we hear, oh, this person's stealing, and I pick on Dave again here, but like that check cash advance thing, oh, it's buried, it's in the past, but there's people that stole money that didn't get prosecuted, that, who knows, maybe they're working at a down at a casino or something, or whatever, I don't know, I'm just saying. That's why we don't want to forget stuff, and we want to, be transparent, and because I was talking to someone about it, and they were like, well, we're a small community. I was like, well, if this was Cornucopia, which is way smaller than us, and that was, stealing was happening, people would know that stuff, it'd be public, and
I don't want to be misunderstood. My simple point was this, that any legal consequences that flow from the payroll advance scandal of 1996 are done. Okay.
Was that all right?
Okay, so, no, thank you for clarifying. Okay, here, that's not all of that. I was gonna ask, my wife was on the ECC budget, and, they got budget forms in the meeting, but they had to, turn them back when they left. And I thought that was a little weird, because we should, you hear like, oh, the ECC's not doing good, or whatever, you hear all these rumors, and, it'd be nice to look at them and substantiate, rumors or not substantiate rumors, just to see what's true or not about it. It's kind of weird. And then just something, let's see, no, I think that's all stuff that's gonna get sent in later.
So Curtis, I just want to thank you for coming in. You said a couple of times that you were apologizing for coming here with your questions, and I hope that you never feel the need to apologize. We have all night, so as many questions or concerns that you have, please bring that here.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that we do need to bridge that gap between the community and the Redwood Tribal Council. There is definitely a need for transparency, but how can we do that while protecting the information? That we don't want that information available to outside sources. So I really like the idea of having those executive sessions with tribal membership, and maybe we can break that down into specific programs, like what are those services being offered out? Here are the financials to support those services, and also, what kind of suggestions from the community? How can we implement those suggestions and ideas that they might have? How we can provide services, what kind of services? Because there's a lot of smart people out here in our community, and I think that they have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying if it was accountable and people could see stuff, there might be someone in the community that's an investigative accountant. Give a lesson to the accountant. That guy, there's guys like that or people like that that'll just, one day just chilling, just look through stuff and like, oh, wow, discrepancies or whatever. People get bored to do that stuff. And yeah, I'm not apologizing. Well, I mean, apologizing, answer questions from the people. I just don't want to put you guys in the spot. A lot of this stuff is old stuff, and you guys probably weren't there. Nothing to do with it. But I just want to get it out there and ask questions.
You're always welcome to it.
And what I base all my stuff off of is our own U.S. government, state government. Like what would they put out there? Because like personnel. So say we had a fire chief that was stealing evidence money, which is a rumor I heard. The question I would be asked, but. Now, if that was anywhere else, and he was charged, that would be public information. Now, I know that the tribe would say, well, that's personnel information. That's all fine and dandy, but if stuff like that did happen, it should be known to the public.
Yeah, I can tell you this with all honesty, if somebody was stealing money, they would be reviewed for criminal prosecution.
That's awesome to hear that. Cool. Because, as I was growing up, my dad was, he was a radical, but he was right. He was dead right.
Your dad was a great dad.
Yeah, he was crazy, but he was right. People were like, oh, he's nuts, but they ended up being true. They were stealing, Oh, shit, maybe there is something to this guy, And then, as I got older, I worked at the office as a dishwasher, and Gary DeFole was the GM there, and he ran the show. Whether he did a good job or not, I don't know. I was a kid. But then someone got into tribal council, chairperson, and all of a sudden their whole family was running the casino. And I was a kid when the stealing broke out, and then I seen that, and I'm like, man, this doesn't seem right, you know, nepotism. And then something slightly off topic was we were at a fire hall meeting. My brother Tim wanted to be a firefighter, and you have to vote in just like you guys do, you know. And no one would second it, so I'm like, oh, second it, like, you can't do that. I was like, and I genuinely didn't understand why. And I'm pretty sure it was because I was a brother. I was like, yeah, the one time I get into a government position, or like, and I can't use nepotism, but everybody else can. Anyway, that was just. No, that's true though.
So Kurt, before you go, you're like a breath of fresh air, and I'm glad that this is your first meeting, and I hope that you continue to come. Much appreciation to Carolyn, Teresa, and Gretchen for adding and filling in on the conversation, but you brought up a number of very good points that we don't routinely or genuinely think about because they're not brought to our attention. We know what we know, and it's good that we get bodies up there that will question things that may not pertain, like you said, to this tribal council, but somewhere up the line, you know, we can find answers, and if we can't, we can say we did our due diligence in trying to find answers.
Yeah, we all hold each other accountable.
Right. So I'm very happy that you showed up. Hope you didn't get writer's cramp. You were prepping.
I got a lot of stuff, but yeah, it's still ideas, you know. But thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Curtis.
Yeah.
You can hit that right button.
Comments and community comments? Carolyn?
Please push the right button.
I received a message that there was potentially oil spill in Lake Superior.
The right button. The right.
I received a message that there was potentially oil spill in Lake Superior, and then they said it was in the Daily Press. So I went to further explore it tonight, but it wasn't in Lake Superior. It was in, the spill was reported to state, okay. However, a significant oil spill occurred in Wisconsin near Lake Ripley, R-I-P-L-E-Y, which is connected to Lake Superior via waterways. And this was on November 11, 2024. An Enbridge pipeline spilled approximately 69,300 gallons of crude oil due to a faulty connection on a pipe transfer, on a pump transfer pipe. If you could kind of do some checking on that, that would be great.
Yep.
Okay. The one that happened a day or two ago, we did follow up on that right away. We saw the same report. So we had our wardens, Mark Duffy, reached out to the Coast Guard and to the DNR, and we got their response today was, and this is from the Coast Guard, the Coast Guard chief down there. Mark just gave us a update today, and he said there was a report yesterday morning of a large sheen in Apostle Islands Marina. The U.S. Coast Guard and City Fire Department and DNR investigated and did not find the source of the spill. U.S. Coast Guard, MSU Duluth is currently following up on the source of that sheen, but the sheen is gone.
Okay.
So, I mean, that could have been, you know, growing up in a commercial fishing family, somebody could have dropped something into the lake.
That's what possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did follow up on that right away as soon as we heard the reports.
Okay. The next thing I wanted to comment on is with Trump and his big beautiful plan, he specifically talks about water, and so wanting to know what's going to happen. No, not even wanting to know that. Again, being proactive and how, rather than reactive, how we're going to proceed. But I did get a message from Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission today. They're doing something here on the 8th, August 8th, and so they invited me to come and participate in with that. So just to share that, because how can we be proactive with our water? We all have our ways that we take care of things, and what can we do? I tried calling NOAA today. The other thing is,
Noah's out of the office until next week at work travel, so he probably will not return your call until he returns. But do not hesitate to reach out with an email because he is checking those if you're.
Okay. Gloria Wiggins from Bad River, she works with the Native Boat. She sent me a message saying that she's trying to get together, and Cheryl, she hasn't, may have heard that. She was trying to get together with Representative Stroud.
Angela Stroud, yeah.
And they were talking about, everybody I guess had their issues, but then she again asked me about the water. And I know it was sent to Nicole, and I think tonight that they're talking about meeting after the council meeting, but then that was sent out saying that it was not going to happen tonight. So for those again too, I'll look at Gloria's message and see if in lieu of tonight, Mr. Representative Stroud is going to be in the area, and if he is, when?
It's a lady, Angela Stroud.
This is Mr. Stroud, I'll tell you, well, whoever the representative is. I mean, just wanted to know if you were able to make a connection with Representative Angela Stroud for Tuesday evening, so she's talking about tonight, I'll have to check on that. But, I don't know if Bad River is meeting tonight.
Tomorrow, I think.
Okay, we'll follow up with that. Okay. And then the other thing to mention, I like going to check on the National Congress of American Indians all the time and see what they're doing. And so, what they say, they just got a new representative on their policy, and that is, and I found it very interesting. And the reason is because the representative, her passion talks about Indian child welfare. It talks about the section here, the Twahi project. Twahi, this representative, the one that we have at the National Congress. She's involved with that, so I'd like to take that home too. Oh shoot, I don't know if you've seen this one. NCAI empathetically condemns the hateful genocidal statement of Anna Coulter on July 6, 2025 through a post on the social platform X declaring, "We didn't kill enough Indians. There is no place in society for this direct incitement of hatred and violence." Did any of you see that?
Redcliffe is a member of NCAA.
Yeah, I know.
And we follow them pretty. Matter of fact, I just went out to the NCAA meeting.
Did you see this though? Did you know that someone said that?
Yeah.
Okay. So pull this up for National Congress of American Indians. Let that be your friend. Go there and see what's happening all the time in Indian country or what's going on. The other one is NC.
Yeah, they put out these emails and stuff like that, and you can put your name right on.
I understand, but unfortunately, our people here, their names should be on there. Now, too, as our representatives, so we're trying to be proactive. NCAI is proud to welcome Ms. Megan Bishop as our new policy director. She's a seasoned attorney and public policy expert with nearly 2 decades advancing justice reform, self-governance, and child and family welfare. But anyways, it's a good read tool. So take a look at this. So because I'll be coming to you, look at the girls. I'll be coming to you, and share this and asking where we're at. The other thing is, did you talk about the harm reduction, the 2 events that's coming up for the men? Where there's 2 different events that's taking place, and one is for the men, and it has to do with I'll tell you what it says. Mending broken hearts, and historical trauma. And in one of them, I didn't know who was providing the service, and so it's sponsored by DGP. And DGP is Dylan Jennings.
Yep.
So we'll be doing the historical trauma workshop. Okay, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you for
Thank you, Carolyn.
Good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Hoje tribal council, Kishi Kukway Indigenous Cause Association in Dodoma Swabic and First of all, I'd like to congratulate the new tribal council members and of course the existing ones for the work that you do and will continue to do on behalf of our nation. I'm here tonight for old news and just to share with current council membership about things that mean a lot to me and to my family and things that have happened and things that I've seen within our community. And as you all may know, my passion is for community, child welfare. We say child welfare, but really restoring our tribal children and families. As you all know, I've been to school for that. I have a strong background in that. And I also have a strong perspective on changing practices to indigenous ways of doing and have had that experience now to understand how to do that and what that means in tribal communities. So I'm going to speak a little bit to that and some suggestions that I have within the Tribal Children's Code. But I also want to make a few comments first. I noticed that tonight the community concern section is scheduled for about 4:30. I would like council to consider an alternative time because many of us work for our tribal community and we don't get done until 4:30, making it very difficult to get here. I also want to mention that I still hear complaints about the online option for people to hear what's going on, that it's fuzzy and they really can't hear what's going on. This has been going on for years. My parents, I came here on behalf of my parents in the past, many of us have. I'm requesting that really be looked at. Not only membership here, but our membership off reservation should have opportunity to be engaged if they so choose.
That's why we moved up here, Gretchen. When this place was built, a lot of the Wi-Fi, internet access and stuff like that was really upgraded in this building. We've had a couple of meetings out where we did the swearing in here and a few other things, and there was a lot of compliments on how clear the broadcasts were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why we decided, we were actually scheduled to be at the casino, but we decided to move up here because of that.
Yeah, I read down there first, I'm like, where are they? So that's good to hear. Thank you for that information.
So just a second, Gretchen. Angie, how is our noise coming through to you?
It's better now, John's got captions on too.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, that's good to know. So I think I'll just start with the child welfare components that I have that I want to share with you. So a lot of people from our community do come to me privately. People who struggle with our child welfare program and engaging with them in a way that they think is equitable for their well-being and the growth of their family. Some of them feel that they're being targeted and that practices are not being adhered to. As I said, I've worked in Indian child welfare for many years, have a background in it, have degrees in it, and I understand it. ICWA applies to off-reservation, on-reservation, we have ICW. We have a children's code, chapter 26. Off-reservation, there is a requirement. It's called an active effort requirement, which the judge has to make based upon what the social worker provides to him in a report. In those court reports, the person that they're serving also is required to sign off on that report, ensuring that everything in that report is agreed upon. Things that aren't agreed upon will be written in as such, but there should be 2 signatures there. In that, there is also something called active efforts. For those of you who don't really understand it, it is very complex. Child welfare is one of the most complex systems that you will ever deal with. So what it means is, efforts are to be made to prevent the removal of children, to prevent. So that is called preservation, supportive services, and care. You can get that service, mostly. Maybe it's different here, but my practice has been that whether you have an active case or if you just need services to prevent removal, they can engage with that. Maybe things have changed, but that's how it was. I was in school a year and a half ago, that's how it existed then. That's under Title 4B. Dollars, but it can come under other dollars also. BIA 638, it's in the contracts under familiar with. In our code, there's no reasonable efforts, which is required throughout the United States for non-natives, which means the judge has to say there's reasonable efforts were made by the social worker or whoever is the case manager, that they have to make reasonable efforts and they have to lay those out in the court report on what they did. And again, that person who they're talking about also has to sign off on that. For tribal people, it's called active efforts. That's a higher standard of efforts. I would strongly encourage our tribal council to take a look at WICWA. We have a mini ICWA in Wisconsin. It's called WICWA. S.C. Leoso did a beautiful presentation, and she gives you kind of guidance on what that should look like for tribal children. I am proposing that our tribal council have a children's code adjusted so that there is active effort requirements for our people, so that the system is just and sound. We need to make sure that the practice that is being provided for our people is equitable and safe. Some practices are not. We know that. We've seen movies where it shows that practices aren't equitable and families are torn apart. We know historically that this practice has occurred. We also know now there is indigenous ways of doing. I'm telling you this, and UNB has a strong model up there that they're engaging with MSWs to practice within tribal communities. I strongly believe that in order to have a safe, equitable child welfare service system, we need to have active effort requirements in our children's code. I do know in Minnesota they are taking that stance. They strongly believe that for their tribal people, and they are having active efforts put in their code. Not only does it help here, but it helps for ICWA. It will strengthen our ICWA out there. So anything outside these boundaries is what ICWA applies for. 2, anything inside is right for Indian child welfare. Just so you know the difference, there is a difference. So I'm strongly suggesting that tribal leadership take a look at that. That's what I have to say about that piece.
Gretchen, are you aware of any other bands that have incorporated that requirement into their honor-reservation code?
Yeah, and I can give you their numbers. I have to look at it, but I know over in Minnesota several of them, and I have a good connection over there, so I can find out exactly what tribes.
Yeah, just we need to know which bands it's done.
Yep, I'll get that to you.
Oh, I got a question. I asked for a lawyer July 18th, 2024. It's been a year, and I still ain't got a lawyer. My Indian civil rights are being violated. They're being trumped. Something needs to be done about ICW. They ain't even helping do nothing. Their whole goal has gotten lost. Right now, it's just about attack. And right now, I am one of the targets that I heard you mention. They're targeting people. I'm one of them. So I just want you to know, I can't even get a lawyer. Like, I need help. They're modifying my court order without me being there. And then they won't even allow me to be there. And then Juliet Pierce is telling me about it 2 days later, not even giving me a chance to contest it, or I got a right to be heard. Do I not? Well, I'm just saying, I want a lawyer. I want my ICW case thrown out. My civil rights are being violated. Over a year.
So strengthening systems of care is really important to me, not just in child welfare, but across systems of care. We know that as a tribal nation that many of us have experienced historical trauma, which is spread down to intergenerational trauma. That's from family systems into lateral violence in our community, systemic oppression, community oppression. I noticed also that in the community that there's key roles where we've seen people leave but not positions posted, such as Family and Human Services Administrator. And so it brings me to a wondering of the position hasn't been posted. It's been, the person hasn't been with us for quite some time. So as an advocate for our community, for our families, for my families, and for the next set of generation, I would like to see more transparency with that. When we have changes within key roles or roles in our communities, membership should know. The newsletter would be a nice place to say what's going on with that. Also, I'm going to go a little further. We also have a equal employment opportunity. We follow that in Red Cliff. We also have a tribal member preference in Red Cliff. I honestly feel that is not being adhered to. I'm coming here as a community member, a strong advocate to ensure that moving forward that our community really looks at our membership being leaders. We have so many leaders right here, and I'm going to go into that a little further now. My son, I brought this up before, he's not with us today. He had put in 17 applications with the tribe. 17 applications. He was told he had a felony. He went to tribal council, he went to human resources, not when they were here. But he brought the paperwork from the state of Wisconsin saying he wasn't a felon. My son then had to travel to a job, hour and a half away, leaving his babies at home with the wife, not having that time and energy to foster his family. He had to travel, and he came to tribal council about this many times. And I'm here expressing, too, what that has done, not just to me, but to him. He was then told, not in a letter, but by voice, that he had to go before tribal leadership to go through rehabilitation because he has a felony, which was untrue. He brought the document. He's talked to people about it. He's talked to tribal liaison about it, with no result. My son decided then to apply with a different tribe who has the same standards and background. He's working for them and overseeing the entire tribe. I have to wonder how that is, how that can happen. He wasn't accepted here, but he is there with the same standards. I'm asking tribal leadership to look into this. This is a complaint I have, and I'm saying this to tribal leadership to look into this. This is my complaint to you. My son brought this up to you, and I brought this up to you, council. Not everybody that's sitting on here knows of this, but I'm going to say that this was brought up many a times. And I was told that there was a process that occurs when community brings up concerns, and that everybody's concern is followed up on. Today I wait for that to be followed up on. Now I'm going to bring it to the land issue. My son built a cabin on the land. I was told by tribal leadership, that he had to go through the entire process before he could come to us with his grievance, that he wasn't in agreement with what had happened to him because he had a structure on the property. And he shared this story with you, and he cried to you. He said, there should be no Manawis Indian here, and you're making me one, he said to you. I cried for him, son, and I cried for him right now because he isn't with me. Not only did you take away my baby, but you took away my grandchildren because he had to go find a different home to be to take care of his family. That house sits out there where there's a fallen cabin right next to him where they can have that land. They can have that land, but he can't fly. He came to you then, the last time he was here, he was told by you, Rick, and by Chairman Boyd. He asked for you to put a moratorium on that. To wait, don't be so hasty, he said. Not just on mine, he said, but all 17 other land leases that you decided to take away from your people. And take a look at it, tribal council. You go take a look at it. You guys walk out there. He asked that of you. He was then told to write an email and to give that information. Guess what he did? He wrote the email. He sent it to you. He was promised that there would be follow-up. He continues to wait. I continue to wait for some things, but that's okay, that's all under the bridge, but I want you to know what you did. You hurt me. You hurt my son. You hurt my family. You hurt my roots. You hurt my ancestors. You know action is not okay. The leadership that was sitting here that promised, and I don't know what goes on, I don't know the structure, but I'm telling you it is hurtful. It is painful, and that is what we call lateral violence and systemic oppression. And it's happening right here, right now. And I don't walk in fear. If tomorrow you take my position, I don't care. Go ahead. I'm valuable. I'm wanted. I'm wanted by you. I'm wanted by my family. And I'm not afraid. Right now I'm watching people get fired left and right. That's hurtful to me. Hurtful to me. Why? Because they're my relatives. Not just members, but their loved ones. Being fired, being walked off the job, been here many years. My brother Dimitri down there 25 years, booted out. Name run through the mud. I know him. My daddy taught us good work ethics. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, if something's wrong here, and it's wrong, and we talk about the next set of generations, let's talk about that. When you fire a grandma, when you fire a daddy, when you don't let a daddy through the front door, when child welfare matters aren't adhered to correctly, when job postings aren't offered to your people first, we have a problem. That's not supporting the next 7 generations. You're showing that this is a culture that we're changing. That our culture is not to support membership, that we don't employ them, that we honor landless Indians, that we don't follow our word, that if somebody speaks their truth, that you might fire them, making them walk in fear. I will not. So that's my thing to you today, because that's what they've asked me to deliver to you. And I've asked myself to deliver it. I've been hurt. You took my son away from me, but I want you to know he's thriving. And they've accepted him out there. They've accepted him out there. But it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. And it shouldn't happen. Another problem I have is our homeless population. We have people who don't have homes. There was with the raspberry stuff down where they couldn't be there, and I get it. I get it. It is a sacred space. I get it. But I wonder what spaces we've developed for them. What have we done? What are we going to do with our people? These special ones. These special ones. Everybody is so special. They really are. And we're hurting them. We're hurting them. And there's ways out of this. There really is. The first step is to get together as a community and talk about it and be transparent and only have our membership there. And no lawyers. No lawyers. They don't belong in our space. They do not belong in it. This is a membership. We need to have conversation about real issues and how we're going to move forward. We're here to help. This is all of us. Yeah, I want to support lateral goodness in the workplace. I want to support lateral goodness in my community. We all deserve it. Every single one of us, no matter what we have to offer, everybody has a little bit. So, again, I know I got a little emotional. I'm real hard with my words, but I can't help it. It's the way it comes out. I try to do better. But it comes with love. It comes with love. And all you guys are great, you know. I know every single one is. And I know you guys know that we can do better. And I'm asking you to take some time to think about that, how we can do better together. All right, miigwech.
Miigwech, Gretchen.
Thank you, Gretchen. Any more community comments?
I guess you kind of already heard, I've been dealing with this stuff for over a year. I've been asking for a lawyer for a year.
Can you push your right button, please?
There you go.
Okay, I guess you already kind of heard of, I've been asking for a lawyer for a year. ICW is just doing such unethical misconduct because that's so against the law what they did to me. June 24th at court, they didn't allow me to be there. Then they modified my court without me knowing or telling me what they did. Juliet Pierce told me June 26th. I emailed Lana right away. That was 2 days after they modified my court. They didn't even give me a chance to contest it, a right to be heard. Apparently, my due process is out the window, because do you guys know that they haven't been able to provide a lawyer for over a year for tribal members? Well,
I wrote it down,
okay. Can I ask, why are they taking kids and not providing the lawyers? If they can't handle it, they need to ship this to Bayfield County, where you could trust that they're gonna do stuff right. Not fucking, man, I ain't gonna lie, I fucking had ICW workers lie on the stand on me and I could prove it. And it's like nobody's listening to me. I don't know, I just want a lawyer. Because I think once I get a lawyer, there's gonna see all the misconduct that's done here. And like, oh, please, I just wish you guys would listen to me, because I got so much paperwork. This is legit too. I emailed all you guys. It might come up as spam, because nobody has ever got back to me. And I just want to be heard, and I want a lawyer. What they're doing to me is fucking, it's not right. It's against the law. Like, I don't know. I just want to be heard.
John, I just recently got my email set up for the council. Could you send that information on to me?
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
this was like,
I'd like to take a look at that.
okay, cool, thank you.
John, have you ever looked into Wisconsin Judicare?
Yes,
you qualified?
yes, they did. I got denied twice, and then Red Cliff Legal Department's been supposed to have been fine for a couple months now. Then even from jump, I asked for a lawyer, but you know, like I don't know, we're coming over a year later, still nothing.
I wrote it down here, John.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Good, John.
Kurt, maybe you're next. Can you push the right button? The right button?
My concern is regarding housing, and I think that there's a lot of open houses, and the selection process to these houses are really outrageous, because you've got some people that are, I don't know how they do it now, but there is an awful lot of housing homes that are open, but I want to know what is happening in Redcliffe. Look at how it used to be before. We were concerned about the beauty of our Redcliffe. It's gone back to a lot of cars, build up. Same with these, the lots that they talk about. Some of these lots are like junkyards. It's terrible. What has happened to Redcliffe? Our housings look, they're shabby. Nobody's taking care of their yards. They don't take care of nothing. Houses are open. There's people in line that definitely need these houses. Where are the homeless going to go? Another issue is our drug addicts. They're still out there roaming the roads, and it's real pitiful. But they don't have, do we have a program? Can we get a treatment going? What are we going to do about that?
We all know where that trap house is. Come on now.
Yep, there you go. Well, let's get these trap houses. Let's get them. Let's go bust them. Let's get them. But also, let's remember that our drug addicts, and I have a son that's a drug addict, they need the help. They need the help. We need to welcome them back into this community. We need to support them. Of course, I understand it is their choices, but I think that I would like to see you guys look more into what's going on with housing, because there's a lot of empty houses opening up. I went and I volunteered at an elder's house. They had just moved in, and I said, geez, I wonder if they cleaned your cupboards. She was worried about the smell. I stood up on that counter. None of the cleaning in that house was done. I thought, how could you even move in here? They didn't even do the proper cleaning.
This was a new movement?
I stood up and I cleaned the house for them. Scrubbed on my hands and knees for them. That should have already been done. So they need to evaluate the housing more because there's a lot of open houses here. There's our homeless, and also with I think that we need to continue on with the busting of the drug addict, the people that are selling the drugs and stuff, because it's still going on out there. And we may not have lost too many recently, but I'm telling you, there's a really wicked ass drug out there where my elder friend and I were sitting there, and there was two young people walking down the road like they were on something worse than heroin. But it's out there in our community, and I think that we need to continue to clean up our drug issue. But I want to say about the housing is, it feels like it's a picking and a choosing, because there's a number of houses that are open, and a question was asked: how do we? Can I apply? Can I have a transfer? Oh no, them houses are already picked for. What? They're picked for? They're not even cleaned up or nothing yet. So I don't know what their process is anymore. But a long time ago, the housing board, we did not have inoperable cars in our driveway. They gave us 30 days to get them either moving, registered, taken care of, or we would be evicted. And the yards are terrible. You give them spring cleanup, you go through these, where's the pride? Where is my red cliff? It's terrible out there. You guys are doing, I mean, what I see here, yeah, we do have some really good things and stuff coming into Red Cliff and stuff, but bottom line is, we need to take care of, you guys please look at some of these issues.
Yep. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, we are, you've probably seen a lot of these lots getting cleaned up. Yeah, we got a grant, we're cleaning up, and we're enforcing a lot of the lease requirements for people to clean up their yards. And the drug issue, yeah, absolutely, we agree with you 100% with that. And we got Kyle Kadot back now, and we're working on a lot of the issues that you brought up, Teresa.
Also, I would like to see an assisted living unit for the elderly. Tommy Joe used to tell me that.
Yeah,
Go to the council, push that.
We would love
Our
to have
elders
that.
want to stay in this community.
Yeah.
I've always said we're sending our relatives away to die out of the area.
Because you're next.
And to touch on to touch on the like the cleanup stuff, so that's like chapter 12 stuff, and I've had some discussions with like those in TNR about how we want to do that so that the goal isn't citing people at the end, but we have a common goal of having it be cleaned up. So working that system so that we can work with people so that they're not just given like a blanket 30 days, but I can do those checks with them to give them those lists of things, have this accomplished in 2 weeks, and then we keep going so it hopefully doesn't even have to go to the courts.
Yeah, those are only leases though, people in the housing gotta follow through with what it is that they gotta do on their leases.
Yeah.
You can give a directive one way, that, however, the housing's gotta be on their balls and do something there as well.
I agree 100%.
This is a meeting that I hold with housing and telling them that this is my plan, and so I'll make note of that for sure, Nick. Thank you.
I agree 100%, Nick.
So Buju, to touch on that a little bit, housing's been having those meetings now on a regular, every month, and I attended one. I brought up kind of same community concerns, the pride of ownership. I talked to them, maybe they just need a friendly face to work with individuals that might need the help. Instead of 30 days or out, maybe just need that friendly face. I offered my services, I offered anything I could do to help. A used car in a lot could be sentimental value. We all know that. You get attached to it, you name it. But yeah, it's got to go somewhere, it's got to do something, it's got to be registered, there's all the laws. But at the same time, though, you hit them with a memo or an email or a letter that gets there 30 days late, 15 days late, they're SOL. But if you've got a friendly face that can talk, help, come up with solutions, maybe that's what we need. I brought it up there, I'm bringing it up here. They've never contacted me, that's fine. I just brought it up.
I think that's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah, it's just a friendly face that can talk. You know, I know what to do with scrap cars. I've scrapped 500, 600, 700 of them.
Absolutely,
But they might
I agree with that.
They might not want to get rid of it. They might need to do things now to hard register.
Yeah, but, you know, and that's where, you know, that friendly face can work with them.
Getting a letter make you angry.
Can I mention that they do have the Housing Stability ROS program? I know there's only one person there, but I know that that's kind of the support that's provided in that. But I do know it might take a referral, but that is one resource that housing currently has to help people stabilize their environment.
And to touch on the resources, Mike, that's one of the other things is that folks don't always know who they can call about stuff. So that's the other thing is to give them that sheet that here's some numbers, some of those being local junk removal, so that we're also helping local businesses. CWO being on that. So if you think of other resources that I can add to this list, please let me know.
That's what I got. That's what I got.
Rick, I want to give you this recognition of Tommy and Frankie Fox, and it's getting late. You're getting ready to sleep. Can we kind of?
Okay. Any other comments, or can we recognize Tommy and Frank?
Before the cake melts.
Before they fall asleep.
Okay, we're gonna move forward. Okay, the next item on the agenda.
Did you have one more thing to say though?
Yeah, I did. I do want to be quick. I want to. So, like, when I bring up stuff about our government, we're based off of the federal government's constitution and all that stuff. You can go online and look up what salaries are for positions, like say president, Congress, whatever. I was wondering, how do I do that for our government? Like what salaries are for, say, chair, vice chair,
Yeah. This was brought up before, and those are personnel files with us.
Okay, I'd love to argue that. I won't argue it now.
Yeah.
So do we do our own census too for
Yes. Yes.
Because it'd be interesting to know whether we're growing or not for housing purposes and all that stuff.
We do our own census, and all of that is put out there. We had a community meeting not long ago with the new census information. You know, some people showed up, a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, and that was one of my arguments with the person I was talking to. They were like, well, some people, blah, blah, blah. And the government our government is a representative democracy. We vote you guys in to do the job. I know it's a thankless job, but it shouldn't be the citizens' part to go fetch information. I mean, if you want to find information, great, but it's us to be informed.
I believe the census information is on the website, isn't it? Yeah.
I got more stuff, but I'll come next time, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Curtis.
Council, before we move forward, I'd like to just, section number 14 for the application. We do have a resolution number, it's 7-22-25A.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 10, and nobody's gonna stop me. We're gonna recognize Frankie and Tommy.
suffered from walkers.
I got elderly legs too, Jim.
Your niece and your tribe.
No, go ahead, Jim.
Bujuani Malibanida, Nimibuchu William Kenya, Oya de Jayama, Nijin Kaz and Shnavi, Wayash, Minwaja, the National Meeting, Udiva, Wikuna, Mr. Khan, Medicine Lobby. In view of the key ways here, we go send the Lord. These old men are walking with each other. And over the last couple of years, I've seen that, and I was always impressed with that. And I was going to nominate him last year, but you get tied up with other things. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do it this year. And when I see them walking, I have these flashbacks of what it was like growing up in Red Cliff in the 50s and 60s and 70s when we were a small community. Many people didn't have cars, many people didn't have the toilets, outhouses, slop fields, we had to haul our own water. And at that time, if we wanted to go somewhere, we had to walk. If we wanted to go to Bayfield to do something, we had to walk. We had to walk all over the place, and it was just such a normal thing. And I was thinking about, again, this flashback, just because these two old men are walking. No. But thinking back when your mother, Evelyn, walked, she'd be walking down the road at nighttime. They'd have their little flashlights as they'd be walking down the road, because that's the way that people got around. And their mother, Evelyn, and my mother were first cousins because their mothers were sisters. Margaret Baker, Rosette Morris, and then Mary Baker Roy. And so, of course, everybody knows where Mary Roy lived and Joe Roy. And it was said one time she was walking up, I guess she was going to go visit Gladys or Evelyn or something. And George Durno had that big house, we used to get candy and stuff like that. Well, as Auntie Mary was walking, she looked on the side by the ditch there, and somebody was laying in the ditch, and she was so worried because she thought they had died. So she went up to George Durno's. Because he had a phone, not many people had phones. George and Carmen had a phone. So they called Merkel. Merkel comes out to, inspect and get this body. Pretty soon that person wakes up in his blue shirt and says, Chris, can't you even sleep yet? Merkel was upset because he lost out, But it was the idea of walking, if you remember some of these old people that they would just walk and walk and walk. And so that's what I wanted to recognize them, because it was a flashback and it was a thing that was, to me, so important about our culture and about our traditions. And yes, it's really good that we're connecting and we're relearning all of these things, but we also have to remember we have a huge Red Cliff history. And so some of you might have seen my little writings I do put on Facebook, and I remember like when my mom would be visiting and they'd be talking about their old times. They'd say, oh, I wish we would record, I wish we would work on. So what I try to do is I remember these little things and I write these up. So when I would make Luggily, I put it on Facebook and the Luggily story. It amazed me that some of our elders that are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, they have these stories about Luggily that they had. That's the only thing they had to eat when they were growing up. So it's these flashbacks, that kind of, I think we also need to remember. A few years ago, there was a person that was worried about as you go up Gordon Road, the sign wasn't there anymore. I don't know. Who else would steal it but Gordon, I guess, but anyway, Tommy? Anyway, that sign wasn't there, and she said, I think they used to call it a different name. Well, when I was growing up, it used to be called Alec Roy Road. And so when I said that to her, she said, who is Alec Roy? And I just had, oh my God, Alec Roy was on our first tribal council in 1936, chairman for many, many years. And it was just this thing about how, yes, we're learning our culture, our traditions, our language, but we also we need to remember a part of our Red Cliff history because it's just as important. So, all of that, blah, 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 is one of the reasons that I felt it was just important to honor these two gentlemen that they're walking just because they want to walk, I guess. I hear they have little discussions amongst each other. They blame each other for stuff. I'm surprised they don't push each other down. Maybe they do. So, Tommy and Frankie, with honor, want to honor you for your what you did. Hopefully
Tommy, the mic is yours.
He still wants to curl him.
Thank you, guys.
Good easy, yeah.
Tommy. I know you missed the rest.
And it's Tommy Fox's birthday today. They came from a very large family. Happy birthday, dear Tommy. Happy birthday to you. These two boys are the last two boys left of the John Fox Gordon family. They came from a family of 13 siblings.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got cake. Cake. Who spelled that one? There you go. Common? Yeah, I'll get you some. Take the common.
After waiting this long, I'm taking
Oh, yeah, feel one of these.
Go right ahead, lady.
How you do it? Your dirt is case for
Grab one. This is smaller. That one's the small one. There we go.
Good job, Jim.
There, Ella.
Absolutely.
Which hand is it in?
Oh, everyone gets like
A quarter. Hey, get up there. Hold on.
They can take a moment.
Oh my God, I need like a wig.
You're cutting them huge.
Everybody
Here. You're getting double piece.
Here, you got too much frosting.
Can you just cut me in half?
Wait, cut one of ours in half, we'll split it.
Just couldn't kill you.
Right by the cut in half. There you go.
Thank you.
I just want a quarter. I usually want a little one.
Now are you going to the picture grabs? There's a couple
what?
little ones. We'll do the picture grabs, the little bitty ones.
All right.
You go ahead.
Dave, you want to
Come on. Yeah, I'm gonna be up there.
All right. Be quick.
Okay. Thank you. Why are you so they can take them home? Can I have another one, please? That's a lot of show. Okay.
Don't argue.
Don't argue. I don't ever make noise, right, Uncle?
Here's a little one.
I'll go give that to Audra. How are your here, Ella?
This tastes like there's a little bit of lemon in it.
John, you want a piece of cake?
Everybody get some?
Cameron wants a piece. No? Okay. Okay, that's my job. Okay, okay.
You got 2 pieces? Realize.
Is that good? I thought everybody related to everybody but the defense.
Brenda.
That's serious. Nice.
Yeah.
No shame.
Now?
Thank you.
I think
That's like
that's
it.
Grab one, Tree.
Pieces there.
I know. We're not gonna waste, right? She said take them home.
No, I don't eat spoons.
Oh.
I never had.
Oh my God, I'll.
My mom used to say I could buy roast beef and mashed potatoes.
Right? Oh my God. I didn't see how much cake.
Man, look like a storm. It's supposed to start tonight, yeah. We're supposed to have some pretty severe storms tomorrow.
They're crowded. Dark, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to have some rolling in later tonight.
Yeah.
I thought they said about 9.
No.
It's supposed to start.
It'll be 2 to 3 days.
Tomorrow's supposed to be in the 50s.
Yeah.
She's on the list. Sorry to interrupt, but Rick, can we reconvene? Yeah, we are. We're hearing.
That playground, she was with them.
Okay, we're gonna move on here. We have a council member that needs to fix up an audio.
Sorry, it's me.
Have some priority, would you?
Okay, again, congratulations to Frank and Tom.
Thanks for the cake.
Okay, we're gonna move on here. We already, addressed item number 11. So we're gonna go to, item number 12, the handbook update. Here.
No, but that's strategic. I'm really glad they're all sweetened up for HR.
The floor is yours, sir.
Bonjour. I am hoping I can also be called a breath of fresh air by Butch, but we'll see how this goes. So I bring to you 3 different proposals for our employee handbook. And so the first relates to our selection procedures that are on pages 11 and 12 of the handbook. And I don't know that this will even necessarily apply to 95% of the positions we interviewed for, because our applicant pool is not terribly deep for most of our positions. But in a couple of instances, a little bit of additional focus, I think, has looked to be helpful here. So you can see under the current language, there is a stipulation that all applicants who meet the qualifications for job description will be offered an interview. And I have a team that is very, very strict about adhering to rules. And so, in this case, it means that everybody who does qualify needs to be interviewed. And for the most part, that's okay. But we have had instances, and I'd like to get ahead of future instances, where it might be wise to offer just a little bit of exits or exception. In 2023, there was one position for wildlife specialist where 18. It was 18 people, and 18 people got an interview for one position. And so we want to be a little bit respectful to the schedules of our hiring managers. We also want to be respectful of some applicants who really don't have a great chance of being interviewed. It's stressful to prepare when you come in, and if they really don't stand a great chance to be able to offer them a different option here. We've also had a case where one individual has applied for multiple positions and was going to receive that first position that they interviewed for, but we had to wait until the interviews went through for a second position, and they were not going to be at the top of the applicant pool for that. And so it meant holding off on hiring them for a position of need and holding off on giving them a start on work at Brentwood as well. So what this proposal lays out is just adding a little additional language here to say that instead of applicants who meet the qualifications will be offered an interview, it changes to applicants who meet the qualifications and are selected by the hiring managers to interview will be offered an interview. Again, I don't think that it's going to rule out too many people, and also there are much larger employers for whom they receive hundreds of applicants, and adhering to the same rule would require them to hire hundreds of applicants. So I offer this as a proposal for your consideration.
I have one question. When it says hiring managers, is that the folks that are hosting the interview, or is that HR folks?
It's the people in it's the managers who are actually in the positions, not HR.
Got it. Okay.
HR does not want to be in the position of saying yay or nay. We want to give that approval to the managers themselves.
So what protocols do you have in place for respecting that tribal preference portion of job descriptions?
Yeah, actually, just 2 sections before, we've got an Indian preference section, and what it stipulates is that the Red Cliff Band expresses its intent to abide by applicable equal opportunity laws consistent with the concept of Indian preference. Moreover, by applying these principles, the band evidences its attempts to meet the unique needs of American Indians. The application of Native American preference shall not be interpreted to violate equal opportunity laws. So, we would.
So I guess my concern is that some of our tribal members might have qualifications that aren't necessarily aligned with college degrees, like they might have some traditional ecological knowledge, say, for treating natural resources. That might, I guess, in our opinion, might weigh a little heavily more over someone who has a college degree. And so when you have places like our treating natural resources, who are made up of mostly non-native employees, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but how are we ensuring that our people are also held are going to be considered in those positions?
And that goes back to Shania's earlier question. It's really helpful for HR to not be the screeners there and just say college degree or not. It's usually the people who are in the departments, the divisions, who know more about what qualifications really will make a difference in those areas. So I don't see this being
If it's a department that's made up of mostly
employees, I worry that our tribal members aren't gonna get a fair opportunity at those job positions.
Oh.
My concern is that if it's a program, or if it's a department that's made up of non-native, mostly non-native employees, managers, I worry that our tribal members aren't gonna have their opportunities to take positions.
Because those individuals may not recognize that traditional ecological knowledge that those who, or the institutional knowledge even, that they might have. So I hear what Misty's saying, because I kind of was wondering that too after reading this.
And that's a fair question. It would really be a case-by-case basis, and this is as much a numbers item as it is a qualifications item. So without seeing instances, I would have a hard time really responding to that.
So Eric, just a couple of years ago, it was at that time a requirement that the tribal council member be on every interview. And since I was right across the street, guess who was there? It was like all the time, right? In order to free up space for us, because I'm walking into an interview for a TNR water something, you know, that really, what do I know about that? To where they decided that, yes, typically the director and maybe the administrator would be the sit-in with one of your HR staff, and then your staff would be the tiebreaker, but typically it never happened, you know, that it was needed because we know what we were interviewing for and what, you know, just like HR doesn't have a clue really of looking at the black and white.
True.
Yeah. So in that regard, I think it's well and good that we have the ability, whether we go back to that, to have a council member, or, you know, we don't want to push another load on Alana and say that the TAL has to sit in there, because again, she's got more vested interest in a lot of other duties that the chair and the vice chair and everybody else have assigned her. But maybe that's some way that we can incorporate it. When you are talking TNR, you are going to get the division administrator and a director of a certain program to be non-native, that come from a college background, again, that do not have the experience and knowledge to be able to put that and be inclusive with that, right? So they're looking at, oh, which masters or which director or whatever program like that fits. You know, other world besides Redcliffe that is pertinent, and here it was a lot deeper than that, I guess would be a good answer, response to that.
Yeah, well, and we can stipulate that all tribal members, yes, if they do meet basic requirements, that they're not subject.
And I don't agree with all council members sitting in the interviews and stuff like that, because a lot of times that could hold up positions. You know, all council could be gone sometimes, and sometimes there's nobody available, and that's why we have the HR department to help screen. You know, and I understand, you know, tribal member preference and stuff like that, but even if they're non-natives, we still have our HR doing some of the screening anyways, to screen if they meet the qualifications or not.
Yeah, it's the director or administrator that actually writes the job description.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not HR, it's not administration, it's the, you know, director or administrator of that program, of that division. And, yeah, I mean, I sat in on countless interviews where I had no idea, you know, you know, if that person was the best for that job or not, you know,
and require that participation could slow down the hiring process, which is already you know, something that we're looking
and that's why we changed it so a council member didn't have to be on there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, all the council members are busy too. We have jobs, and you might not, I mean, like Laura said, you know, HR had 10 interviews that they were trying to schedule, but you couldn't get a council member in there.
And in that time too, we had this many on the interview panel for every job, 5 people. So sometimes that was really chaotic trying to arrange for everybody to be. So to go down to the 3-person like we currently have, it makes a lot more sense because it is a more personal interview with that individual. Yeah.
And you know, you have a job, you have a deadline for an application, and then it could be the way it was. I mean, it could be 8 weeks, you know, before somebody is selected. That's not good for the applicant. It's not good for the program.
Because we lose the applicants.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we're looking to accelerate that to add additional complexities.
Yeah, I guess my concern was just that our membership still has opportunities for those. My concern also is that if we have directors that aren't from this community writing job descriptions, what protocols do we have in place to ensure that they're not writing those positions for their friends or people that they know that are outside this community, which I understand has already happened. So those are my concerns.
Okay, council, thoughts on this handbook change, this policy change?
I'll make a motion to approve the handbook update applicant interview expectations.
Okay, Laura makes a motion to approve the applicant interview expectations. Second by Butch. Discussions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We have 2 opposed, Butch.
So you're the tiebreaker.
Okay, I'm gonna approve. But in the discussion that the items and concerns that these 2 have are fully addressed.
And I would say that the HR department shares those concerns. We'll take that in spirit. Thank you.
Yep. All right. The next one.
The next one is one that's been on the drawing board for some time. Been working on this great partnership with great staff here who is online from our legal department as well. Most employees in their job description are required to be eligible to be put on the driver's policy and maintain that eligibility as a condition of their employment. We do occasionally have employees who run into issues with their driving records where they are less than spotty. Some are more serious issues than others. This too is being proposed as more of an exception than a likelihood or an expectation, but this is what we're calling a limited scope driver agreement. And as I shared here, it may represent the difference between someone retaining their job or being terminated if they're otherwise unable to perform their duties. This would be an agreement for one of our employees who has a driving issue stipulated in either Section A or Section B, and there are a couple instances where this draft references only Section A. It is intended to reference both Sections A and B, so that is a note that will be updated in a future draft should it be adopted tonight. But where the Human Resources Department would review the records, the risks, and work been reviewed by the administrators. The administrators did have some questions about whether heavy equipment operation would be part of this. Frankly, I have a hard time imagining an instance where heavy equipment operation would actually be. I'm hesitant to rule it outright, but between HR's review, legal's partnership, as well as is shared here, a further review with the employee supervisor and a representative tribal administration to be ratified. And a limited scope driver agreement would be valid for only 1 year, at which point it would need to be reviewed and re-upped until conditions, as conditions continue to be met or are removed, or the employee is no longer driving for tribal business. There is a draft of the actual agreement form provided as well. This is something that HR would work on in partnership with the employee supervisor, and review thoroughly in partnership with legal.
How often do you think this would occur?
Once or twice a year, if I were to just take a stab. I don't, speaking on behalf of HR, I don't know that we would want to be managing these agreements and the attendant efforts behind it for more than, a few people at a given time.
So the underlying hope with this change would be that either people could get hired or not fired due to some driving infractions. Correct?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. It serves the continuation of work productivity.
Yeah, because that's one of the things. I mean, we've been struggling with this for years, where we had a fully qualified employee, but they didn't meet certain driving qualifications, like where they needed to drive or certain things like that. So I just want to inform everybody kind of where this is, where this stemmed from. We're trying to get qualified people hired, or not lose qualified people just because they had a couple of tickets or something like that. Yeah, because the way the policy is now, unless this is approved tonight, is that, if you lost your driver's license or you had a certain infraction, it was just pretty cut and dry the way the policy was. We're trying to update this so we can keep people employed, and it's not fair. I don't think that somebody should lose their job and not be hired because of a driving infraction that had nothing to do with the position they're applying for.
Yeah, this is not something we would want to be handing out willy-nilly by any means, and certainly some of the more serious driving infractions, you got vehicular manslaughter, that would be a pretty easy rejection.
I will make a motion to approve the driver policy update. Second.
Okay, Shania makes a motion to approve the driver policy update, second by Misty. Discussion? Go ahead. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
English. The final item here is really more of a nice to have than a need to have, and if in the interest of time you would prefer to reserve this for a future date, that's fine. Ultimately, I'm bringing this as a precursor to some broader handbook reorganization that I would like to explore in the coming year. It probably takes a weirdo to dream about reorganizing the handbook. I'm your weirdo. And in this case, there are several sections of the driver safety policy that have come up in conversation as I try to diplomatically state here, as tedious and unnecessarily parental, and they lose their effectiveness with their monotonous nature. These are sections F, H, I, J, L, and M, and they get into details like refueling guidelines and when to apply the parking brake and things like that. And basically it is the position of, at least my department, that if you are licensed to drive, you understand and have agreed to follow all driving laws and safety rules. And there's no need to regurgitate all of them here in our employee handbook. But there is a subset of those that are absolutely worth carrying forward. And so in this case, the proposed new language in section F is a gathering of those most important or unique aspects worth conveying in the employee handbook here. So, offered for your consideration.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is redundant, and, you know, again, you know, if you have your driver's license, it should be, from a legal standpoint, what is it called, implied, yeah, where you know, if you have your driver's license, then you should know how to put the parking brake on.
From our standpoint, we support the efforts of the HR department to streamline, reorganize that handbook. It's developed over time, willy-nilly. There's never been a comprehensive effort, and so we welcome it and support it.
I'd like to add to that, if we can add some sick ceremonial leave for the employee handbook. I believe there's been some efforts to write that portion of the handbook. If we can look into that, that'd be great, and we'd like to see that moving forward.
Noted.
Okay, council?
I'll make a motion to approve the driver safety policy simplification. Say that please.
Second.
Okay, which makes a motion to approve the driver safety policy, second by Shania. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
You did bring a sense of pride, which
Cameron.
Hello.
Yeah.
I have three items for you tonight. The fourth one is already approved. So the first application I have for you is a lease renewal application from John Strickland, also known as Radical Horses. And it's applying for a short-term lease renewal at 3410 Blueberry Road.
I will make a motion to approve Rabbit Strickland lease renewal.
Who was that? Is his name John?
John.
Okay, yeah, these are, thank you. Okay, Schneider makes a motion to approve the lease renewal for John F. Strickland.
Second.
Second by Misty. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
That'll be resolution 7-22-25B.
Okay, next up is a lease cancellation for the late Mr. Kenneth Andrews Sr., located on 3698 West Rebecca Road. So that way a new roof can be approved for his brother, Mike Andrews.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Laura to approve the involuntary cancellation of the residential lease for Kenneth Mikey Andrews. Second by Shania. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
That will be resolution 7-22-25C as in Charlie.
And then next is monthly review, lease application for short-term lease at 3692, plus that,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Shania to approve the new short-term lease for Martin Peter Andrews.
Second.
Second by Butch. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
That will be resolution number 7-22-25 D as in dog.
Okay, we already approved item number 14. Remember?
all right, I'll pass on to you.
Thank you.
Emma, could I make a request?
Yeah.
Rather than dump it all into the one packet that you get, can you break them up for me? Because I have to go through all that to break these into the proper formage for you, so.
You want the digital copy?
Like if you're doing,
or the electronic?
when you're sending it to me to add onto the agenda, if you would just give them individually to me.
Like the printout?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 15, the sole source request for playground build at the child care center.
It has Douglas listed, but I'm actually the one speaker that.
Okay.
That's because he sent it to me, I think.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
So I would like to, I'm the child care center manager, I would like to request, to sole source it's gonna be the design, the building, and the landscaping for the child care center, through Playscapes. We've had, a few failed bidding, requests in the past, and a lot of those companies really couldn't adapt or align, for our tribal community. So this company here, they're actually the ones who designed and built and landscaped the playground at Bad River for their child care center. And they were recommended by Beth Jennings, and with doing our research, we found that there really is no other companies in the area that can be remotely close to what these guys do. So they're such a unique company. They don't just build playgrounds, they create art. You know, these playgrounds are works of art. And they come to our community, they will visit our centers and our area and, you know, kind of really take feedback from our departments to design this playground. So we are requesting the permission to sole source this and kind of get the ball rolling. It sounds like, you know, they can do this in the summer, and it's getting kind of late to the ball, especially with the funding that we want to use to build this playground. So
I'm going to make a motion to approve the sole source request for playground build at the Jawainicon. I'm getting there.
Yep. It took me a while.
Okay, Butch makes a motion to approve the sole source request for the playground build at the child care center.
Second.
Second by Misty. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried. You are all set. Yeah.
Can I just add one quick thing? I did talk to a friend, this was prior to this coming up on the agenda, but she was talking about that playground and how some of the wood had started to become warped.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's just something like a heads up or...
No, that's something, with this today, we can really get into those discussions with the company, and I will take note of that right now. So,
Okay.
thank you. Also, thank you for the feedback, that's kind of stuff we don't hear, so.
Okay, we have item 17 here. Is Sarah here? Alana? Okay, a tribal adult protective services grant application.
Well, Sarah had an appointment, so I told her I'd fill in for her. The elderly department is asking for approval to submit a grant application. It's a pretty competitive one to, it's called the Tribal Adult Protective Services Administration Grant. They're only awarding 5, up to $200,000 for 2 years. There's no match. This grant program will focus on, or project will focus on developing the elder abuse code, which was kind of already in motion before they came across this funding opportunity. And you may have heard about the input session we just did on the 30th, where we got a lot of good information from the elders. That's the gist of it.
I'll make a motion to approve applying for the Tribal Adult Protective Service Grant.
Okay, motion by Brooks to approve the application for the Tribal Adult Protective Services Grant. Second by Laura. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. And if there's no other business, council, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Shania. Second by Misty to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carried. Thank you, council, and everybody else.
yes, please. Thank you. Pretty sure. You can. If that is. I'm in trouble with the schedule. It's like my mom, your mom's got kids. I'm like, sorry. Because I don't got dinner. And with that email, we can include. Well, what'd you think? Did you like it? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That was like, accept documents. So when you grab it, yeah, like that email can. It was so good to hear directions and try to make it straight to the point. Heard that kids speaking. So that way you don't have to keep answering the same question. You know, like, I mean, a lot of us. I will take it. Imagine said, yeah, sorry. You don't need to say sorry for speaking your opinion. That's not something.